Good morning, USA. Welcome to a new episode of the Bernie or Bust Show, and fueled by coffee, but I'm all out of trail mix and cashews, so just fueled by coffee today. Let's start with some news. Here is an article. Pelosi stands by her dismissal of freshman Democrats. Regrets is not what I do. The House Speaker defended her earlier comments that downplayed the power of 4 high-profile women of color in the House, escalating intra-party tensions. Why would she take that position? Why is she not backing down? She has 4 popular new cohorts, new colleagues, I should say, and she's dissing them in a nasty way. And you could say, well, she's nasty. I wouldn't disagree with that. But what's her motivation? Politicians always have a motivation. They always have motives. Another example, let's look at Cory Booker. Got a new article about Cory Booker. Cory Booker joins Senate Republicans to kill measure to import cheaper medicine from Canada. He is toast. That statement right there absolutely negates any chances he would have to be the president of the United States. Because of our current vetting of candidates on the left, anybody who votes directly with Big Pharma is obviously not going to represent the interests of the American people. So he made a decision. He decided, will I go with the current wave of populist, progressive ideas, or will I just vote for the people who pay me to do what I do? We should have no idea that he's working for the American people. He's working directly for Big Pharma. Why do we put up with this? Well, here is Noam Chomsky to give us a little insight. He's going to tell us how our society works.
The first place to look is who's in a position to make the decisions that determine the way the society functions. Societies differ, but in ours, the major decisions over what happens in the society, decisions over investment and production and distribution and so on, are in the hands of a relatively concentrated network of major corporations and conglomerates and investment firms and so on. They are also the ones who staff the major executive positions in the government, and they're the ones who own the media, and they're the ones who have to be in a position to make the decisions. They have an overwhelmingly dominant role in the way life happens, what's done in the society. Within the economic system, by law and in principle, they dominate. The control over resources and the need to satisfy their interests imposes very sharp constraints on the political system and the ideological system.
Later on in that same video, you understand how media function. So we know how Pelosi and Booker function. The next question I have for you is how difficult it is. Why is it so difficult to figure out what they're doing? You have people like me telling you, but who else is telling you these things about Cory and Nancy? And well, I'll just let this video speak for itself for a minute.
They are the sort of the agenda-setting media. That means the New York Times, the Washington Post, the major television channels, and so on. They set the general framework. Local media more or less adapt to their structure.
World News. It sounds like it says that there's a beachhead.
I think 628 is a good one. Yeah, but I think 6 is a good start.
This is the operative soundbite for us. He's ours.
Apparently,
He's got a minute for all the time, so that's
I love this number.
Okay, well,
And they do this in all sorts of ways, by selection of topics, by distribution of concerns, by emphasis and framing of issues, by filtering of information, by bounding of debate within certain limits.
2.5 minutes to air. No. 45 seconds.
They determine, they select, they shape, they control, they restrict in order to serve the interests of dominant elite groups in the society.
There is an unusual amount of attention focused today on the 5 nations of Central America.
This is Democracy's Diary. Here for our instruction.
The bullshit runs deep. And Peter Jennings, oh, I can just see him interviewing Noam Chomsky and getting all of this information. Now, we are definitely in the side eddies of the flow. Ed Schultz. Let's think about him. Peter Jennings, we see how it works for Peter Jennings, how it works for other mainstream news people. Let's see what happened to Ed Schultz.
Bill Griffin, who I consider a friend to this day, was a watchdog.
Ed Griffin, whom I consider a friend to this day, was a watchdog. Trying to get this to open here. There we go.
Bill Griffin, who I consider a friend to this day, was a watchdog. Far more than anything I'm exposed to here at RT America.
Did he tell you what to say? Did he tell you an angle to take?
Often. In fact, when Bernie Sanders was announcing that he was going to be a candidate for the nomination of the Democratic Party in Burlington, Vermont, I was the only cable host between Fox, MSNBC, and CNN that was there live to cover it. Now, there were live cameras there, but we had coordinated with the Sanders campaign that at 5 o'clock he was going to make his announcement, and we were going to cover this on the Ed Show. I go to Bernie Sanders' house that afternoon and interview in the backyard, about a 15-minute interview. The grandkids are running around. It's a big day for the Sanders family. He's going to announce that he's running for president. We're going to carry it live later on in the day, and we're going to run this one-on-one tape with Bernie. 3,000 people are there on Lake Champlain. It's 5 minutes to air, and I get a phone call from Phil Griffin. You're not covering this.
Whoa.
I said, Phil, Bernie Sanders is announcing he's running for president. He's going to be president. I don't care. You're not covering this. And it got rather contentious. And now you're asking me for opinion. I'm giving you fact right now about what happened. And other people who were there with me will attest to the fact and back me up that this is what happened. We were told that we had to cover something down in Texas that was totally meaningless, and another press conference in Baltimore, which was already had been in the news for a few days. We're covering Bernie Sanders live. We're coordinated with his campaign. And I'm told 5 minutes before, you're not covering Bernie Sanders. Now, let me give you the opinion. I think the Clintons were connected to Andy Lack, connected at the hip. I think that they didn't want anybody in their prime time or anywhere in their lineup supporting Bernie Sanders. I think that they were in the tank for Hillary Clinton.
And there you have it. So, what do we do about this? We've got a few brave people on the team, on the media team, who won't cave into those huge interests that Noam Chomsky mentioned at the beginning. I just can't picture this clip being run by, well, MSNBC fired Ed Schultz, and the other major media certainly aren't going to tell us the story of why they fired him. Manufactured consent is what we have here. So if we don't find out what's going on through other channels, we won't find out. I want to make a plea again for my Facebook group. It's called Revolt Against Plutocracy Rap Sheet, and you can find it on Facebook. Please join me there, and there's a list there of media, alternative media, and Jimmy Dore, I'll put a link to his show, and he had this clip on his show, and he gave an analysis. He interrupted the clip often, so I couldn't use his. I wanted you to see the whole clip unedited, but he has a really good take on how this all works, and he calls on the carpet many current supposedly progressive media commentators. So check out Jimmy. In the meantime, we'll keep muddling on. Unshaved, unbathed, unscripted, and unedited.